This video goes over how a servo works and how to repair it. So here we have our servo, and I have an itty bitty screwdriver in order to get the screws out so I can open it up. Here's the front of the servo, and here's the back, which is where I start. So I'll start by unscrewing all these little screws. Alrighty, on the last one. Alright, so when we open up this case, there's going to be some circuits. There's going to be a circuit board and some wires. And, alright, all out. Open it up. Okay, so first we have this right here. This is the actual motor that powers the servo. So the electricity comes through this wire, right? And so this plugs into the brain. And then it runs through the wire and it goes into the circuit board right here. And this circuit board controls like the positioning of the motor, and there's actually something under here that is really important to the positioning of the servo. And then it runs in the power to this motor right here, and that makes it go. So I'll just take this stuff out so you can see inside. Pry it out here. It's like, this is the kind of dissection I like, the one that doesn't require live animals. So we have this circuit board right here, and then underneath it is another piece of circuitry, which is super important, and it is the limit switch. Now the limit switch actually detects what position the servo is in, and then it sends what position it is to the circuit board, and the circuit board can tell the motor like what to do. So I actually can't take the motor out right now because I have to go into this part, there's actually another part underneath the servo, which you're about to see. So we'll take the limit switch out, if I can. There it goes. So this limit switch right here, it turns, if you look at it, right? So I can rotate it, kinda, and it just goes around and around forever. And it actually detects how it, like what position it's rotated, and it sends that position to the circuit board, which is very pretty and complicated. Let's see if I can. Oh, look at it, it's so beautiful. So now we will go into the inside, and this is the part that you need to be careful if you're doing this, because there are some things that you do not want to touch. Booyah, came out, perfect. Okay, so here we have the actual gears that turn the servo, and I'll show you how it works and stuff, but this right here is actually connected to a little gear that is in there, which I'm gonna show you. So when I take it apart, I use the back case to just rest the screws on so they don't touch anything that they shouldn't be touching. I can, because this is actually like a lubricant right here, and it's super like oily and stuff, and so if you have some tweezers, then definitely use those, but I'm just gonna pull it off because I've done it a couple times, and even then it's still going to be oily. So let's see how it is. There we go. Very nice. And then take this off, I guess. There we go. Nice. And so we have this, and then I'm not gonna take this big guy off. If you can actually see, this is the point that actually sticking outside the servo where you put your wheel. Actually, can I take? Oh, I can take it off. I've never taken that off before. Alrighty, I'll use this part right here to kind of rest that. I don't want to put it on my table. And now we've taken it apart, and I can unscrew the motor. There we go. It should come out. Oh, is it gonna come? Oh, no, it's still screwed in. Just need to unscrew some more. Here we go. It's coming out. Great. So you'll see right here, it has a little cog. That is the point at which the entire thing rotates or is powered by. So and Okay, so if you want to fix the servo, the only way you can fix it is if it's not in this motor right here. If the problem is in this motor and you're running it and it's just like jittering back and forth right here, can't do anything about that. Some problems that you can fix come from the little axles right here. They not being securely in their little mounts. Like, I can't take that one out, but I can take this out, see? And it sometimes isn't in there firmly, and so it can kind of mess stuff up and the gears won't turn right. Now, if you look, this in here, that right there, that there's this little cave right there, that's actually where this pokes into. If you'll look right there, I shove it in, and you'll see, oh, see it's pushing it up a little bit. I'm gonna pat it down, get it down there. Come on. There we go, it's clicked in. We'll see in there, they mesh together. It's kind of hard to see, but you get it. It meshes together. So now I'm gonna put it back together. I'm gonna put that right there. Which, okay, this right here, this last gear, it's hard to get out because it's under this, so it's trapped under there, and it's trapped under there. And so it's trapped under both sides. You can get it out, but you really have to push it, and it'll scrape up against the plastic that makes this. So you just got to look directly in it. You'll see them silver in there. That's actually the point where this thing sticks. So you kind of have to feel around until you feel, oh, it clicks and it's in there. And see, they're about even in height. So you make sure they're nice and firm, and I guess use your screwdriver to pat this gear down because it really needs to, it needs to be in a good spot, and so it doesn't kind of pop out and spin everywhere. Okay, good, it's meshed. I can start to put stuff back. That goes there, which actually there's some cool bearings if you didn't see that already. That's cool. Put that back, make sure that, boom, snaps in. And then this really oiled piece goes next on the far left, which I don't want to touch the oil because I do not like getting oily. It's not my thing. Come on. Oh. Can't really see that. Just don't want to. Up, up, up. There we go. And pop that on. Very nice. That's on. Pat it down. And the last part, which goes on here, upside down. And you'll see it meshes. So maybe you have to turn this a little bit, but boop, slips right in. There we go, nice and clear. So that's all back in together. And, oh shoot, I forgot to screw the motor back in. So I'm going to do that right now. Yep, for screwing the motor in, all you have to do is kind of look at it. Okay, here are the two holes right here. Kind of eyeball it, make sure it lines up, and just put it right on top. And then you kind of have to just make sure it's lined up and just try to screw it in the best you can. It might take you a couple times, but there we go. I think I got it the first time. Is that in now? That one's in. Yep, it's nice and secure. It's not going to come out. Now I can put everything back on. All right, so it is back together, all the gears and stuff, and I screwed the motor back in so I can pop the case back on. Oh, and one more thing you need to know. There's some, these top things right here actually fit in the case, so you might have to wiggle it around until you hear them kind of click back in. Boom, clicked. All right, so all of the gears are put back together. Great. So now we have the electronics. I did get some oil on my fingers. You're gonna get that. Whatever, you are a roboticist, you can handle that. So now we'll put the limit switch back in. And I have come across a problem putting back the limit switch. It can either go in one of two ways, because if you look closely in there, see, I don't know if you can see it. There we go. You can see in there, down in there, there is a little notch that matches kind of the shape of the limit switch, and that's where it fits. And that means the limit switch can actually go in two different ways. So if you put the limit switch in, and then you put the whole motor back together and it doesn't work, flip the limit switch around and then it will work. if it does not work the first time, because that's what happened to me. And I don't really know exactly how the electronics works. I just know that that's what you need to do. You just need to switch it back around. Sometimes getting the limit switch in is a pain, but I am resilient. Haha, there we go. Nice and fit back in. It fits snugly in. So now I'll put the screw in that I took out. That keeps it in there, which might be a little bit difficult, but I'll get it. Oh, there we go. I'll just tighten it up. Very nice. All right, the screw is nice and set in there, and the circuit board actually just gets set in there. And if you look, the circuit board has curved sides to match the curves of these screw holes, so it actually fits nice and perfect in there. It doesn't have to be perfect, just make sure it's nice and snug. And then what I like to do is, instead of just putting the, because there's a notch right here to fit the wire, instead of putting it on, I like to put on the wire first, because it can be sometimes difficult. Well, I guess in this case it just lines up perfectly, so how about that? And then clean it off because all the oil from the screws got there, and then I just put the screws back in, and that is a complete disassembly and reassembly of this servo right here. And all the servos are the same. At least this new one is the metal one. I don't know about the plastic ones, but for the metal ones, this is what they should look like. And so I'll just screw all the screws back in. Okay, so there you go. I screwed all the screws back in, and the only thing that looks like it was opened is that there might be a little bit of oil on it. And there's definitely oil on my fingers, nice and oily, but that's easily washed off, no worries about that. So there you go. We have a fully disassembled and reassembled servo, and if it doesn't work, all you have to do is just unscrew it, make sure all the gears are screwed in, and then re-put it back together. If the motor is the problem, then you can't do anything about it, but it's just a cool experience just to be able to take this thing apart. And two ways that it could go wrong. I mentioned one, didn't mention the other. If you take out the limit switch, right, just looking around, and then you put it back in and your servo doesn't work, then you might have to put in the limit switch a different way, the opposite way, because there are two ways to put it in, because it's just a straight notch, you know. And then the other way it could go wrong is, if you remember, this one right here was one big circle piece. You can rewind the video and actually look at it. If you look at this gear right here that's big, there's a little notch on the side. Like, not on the side, but you have the gear right here, and then below it there's this bit, it looks like this circle. There's a little bump that's up, like this right here. If it's not turning properly, try to rotate the bump just 90 degrees. That might not, it's probably not going to be a problem, but I think there is a way to incorrectly put this big gear on, and so just rotate it to make sure the bump doesn't get in the way of anything. Other than that, that's how you do it right there. So if you ever have a problem, or you just are curious about what's inside of a servo and don't mind getting your fingers dirty and like working with itty bitty screwdrivers, then this is for you. So there you go.